Like last time, the screen was a bit fuzzy for a second, so we got to pause a few seconds. Okay, this is the beginning. Here we go. Welcome to Buddhists for Truth. This is September 29th, 2021. The 5 of us are here, and John's going to start off with this question. John.
Hi, my question for the group tonight is, when we in this world we get caught up in samsara and everything that's going around us, what are some ways or ideas of reconnecting with our chitta or Buddha nature or whatever you want to call that, and aligning with that part of ourselves?
Well, like I told you a couple of weeks ago in the text thing, just mindfulness is the panacea. Just being in the present moment, like if you're walking, just be aware of the movements of your legs and the pressures on your feet, and like the rubbing of the cloth against your skin, and the breeze on your skin, and sounds, not identifying them, but it's just sound. Just being at that level of mindfulness, you're pretty much centered. If you're being here now, then it's still samsara, of course, until you become enlightened. But at least you're not like being blue-pilled and just sucked into it and distracted and just forgetting Dhamma altogether. So that would be like the standard approach I would take anyway. There's other things you can do also, just thinking about Dhamma and studying Dhamma books and just doing other kinds of meditation also. But just general mindfulness is something you can keep going all the time. You're driving a car or just walking or whatever it is you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Bhante, you want to add to that? Also, your chin is cut off, Bhante. Maybe you should lower your camera a bit.
Oh, geez. People have to understand I'm an amateur, okay? And I'm doing it ruggedly off a little phone here. Plus my eyesight's not so good. I can't really, I don't want to I get tired of wearing my glasses, so I can't see very well. But anyway, thanks for the question, John. What Pano said is fundamental first, and to develop like a foundation in sati. Mindfulness, that word is used a lot in America. In Australia, we tend to use it more as mental attention. We call it mental attention. Not that it's kind of whatever strikes you better. But I think, to get in touch with Buddhism is basically getting in touch with your own true nature. So how do you do that every day, basically? There's some things that form basis to any practice as well. Generosity, compassion, practicing compassion and goodwill for yourself and others, practicing compassion. The 4 Brahma Viharas are very important. We'll talk about them some other day. But basically generosity, like, do you give financially to a temple or to some organization like a homeless shelter, or, to a few people on the street every week or something like that? Practicing generosity financially, practicing generosity with your time. Like maybe, have some friends who are elderly and have no friends, pay them a visit once a week or cook them a dinner, things like that. That's part of being generous and compassionate. Being generous in your practice as well to yourself, like, making sure that you stick to a schedule, a minimum schedule every day. See, the one thing that evades is discipline. And in Buddhism, without discipline, even if you want to have mindfulness, you have to have you have to apply, and that requires discipline. So without discipline, you can't do anything. It's like, if you don't sweep your floor every day in your house or clean the toilet every day, it stinks after a while. You start to get cockroaches and rats and all kinds of things through your house, right? So a bit of discipline's important. So, we can talk about it deeper and deeper because that's a big discussion, but, practicing concentration as well, sitting for a minimum of I don't know, 15 to 30 minutes a day, once a day, and sticking to it. That's how you're staying. It's a matter of staying in touch with it daily, as far as I'm concerned. But for lay people and for monks, right, generosity is important. Like generosity for monks is that we practice, but we do a lot of works. We talk to lay people. We do a lot of maintenance. We help out wherever we can. We give of ourselves, and then we also seclude. So generosity is a big thing. All right. So that also helps. When you're generous, that helps to tune into the heart a lot, into happiness and into giving, compassionate giving, goodwill giving. Done.
Well, even generosity. I mean, there are a lot of people who are completely blue-pilled who are still very moral and loving and generous people, but nevertheless, they just think the Matrix is real. So, I mean, you have to have something that will kind of get you through the distractions and through the illusion to some degree. I mean, like generosity and morality can set you for it, but that by itself isn't going to do it. Seems to me.
Are you saying that you still could be doing those things through ignorance if you choose to do it that way?
Well, for example, I'm living in the southeast of the United States, and there are a lot of church-going Christian people who are very generous and relatively moral people. You know, they donate to charity and all that, but nevertheless, they're still completely blue-pilled, and they think the Matrix is reality, and they're still stuck.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Well, good point. Good point.
Well,
you need some wisdom.
Yeah, so it does take
the
cultivation of that.
Yeah, well, I did say also the sorry, let me just finish that, just to answer that. Yeah, no, I think generosity and morality is a fundamental, but I also did say stick to your schedule of concentration, practicing meditation. Also, another thing I forgot to add is daily chanting. There's nothing like repeating the Buddha's words every day, like out loud, and memorizing them.
So, can you repeat the question real quick again, or at least sum it up quickly?
Yeah. So when we get stuck in samsara, ways of reconnecting with our Buddha nature or chitta.
So, yeah, I was going to say that, Master Pannobhasa definitely nails I think the very first step, the mindfulness, and then Bhante definitely nails the second step, which is the chanting, the meditations, and, doing things to that are not just so self-focused. But I really think that what we are, the true practice is digging into your own suffering. What everybody suffers, we all suffer. If you're living in this phenomenal existence, you're suffering. It's just digging into it. Even all the little tiny minute, even the little tiny grains of sand of suffering, or it's the suffering that is just what you constantly is going through you, and you're attaching to, that you're calling myself, or it's the suffering that you say to an irritant, or somebody says something and it bothers you, or somebody cuts you off in traffic and you curse at them. It's all these little sufferings, I think, that when we keep checking ourselves with the mindfulness and going into that, is that we start to reconnect with our Buddha nature. We start to realize that this is a movie. This is a 3D projection. This is a hologram where I'm on the holodeck. This is not real. And if I keep bringing myself back to that by always noticing my own suffering, I am never that far away then from my Buddha nature. All right.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
And another thing about that is, like, I mean, even if you're just sitting in a chair, within a few minutes, you're going to start feeling uncomfortable enough that you're going to shift your position. So, I mean, you can get insight into the first noble truth pretty easily. I mean, if you just pay a little bit of attention. And it's like, I mean, once you realize that, suffering is just built in, I mean, that in itself helps you to detach from the whole samsaric system. It's like you might still have the disease, but at least you have it and are looking for a cure.
Well, I think none of us are young men here, so I think we all have little aches and pains. At least I do. Nothing major, but little stuff. So
yeah. But I welcome my aches and pains nowadays. It tells me, wake up, you still have work to do.
Yeah.
So how about you, Brian?
I was just going to point out the emotions, like if we're in a tumultuous situation, looking at just your own emotional state, like what hindrance is going on, or applying an antidote to that hindrance, at least being mindful of the fluctuation of your own emotions. But I guess you guys covered it quite well, and Pannobhasa did a good job on the mindfulness. Now, so what else should we talk about? Should we do another round? You want to add more to that, Pannobhasa?
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered the basics of it. I mean, reading Dhamma, that's good too. Just reminding yourself that this is samsara, and I mean, there is something infinitely better than that can be attained if we apply ourselves and have the paramis, or just the karmic momentum, or whatever you want to call it.
So should we wrap?
Yeah, we should remind ourselves as much as we can that this is samsara. It's the matrix, it's Plato's cave.
Yeah.
And I think just to finish up, I think the perseverance and consistency of discipline, the consistency of application every day, as you apply it and you be consistent with it every day, you start to see growth. If you're consistent with it every day, like if you get into the routine of doing pockets of different types of training every day, wherever you can, and being consistent with it, after a little while, you'll start to know yourself, because you'll start to reap the rewards, you'll start to experience new things, you'll start to have insights, and you'll start to get the fruits of that consistent practice. And that will fuel you to keep going. So without that consistent application every day, even little or a lot, some days you can do a lot, some days you do a little, but as long as you're consistent and you're doing it every day, daily, you're doing something, eventually you start to see the benefit that you'll experience instantaneous benefit. When you sit down and you concentrate, you'll experience a certain level of benefit from that by itself. From an act of generosity, you experience benefit from itself. From chanting, you will experience benefit. From reading Dhamma, you'll experience benefit from putting on your sati. But we mustn't forget the right effort. Samma vayamo. The right effort is important. Like if you're not putting in the effort every day, then of course the results will, the rest won't matter. Of course, right view and everything else, but right effort as well. That's what I find is lacking in a lot of lay people that I meet, is the right effort, is the ability to do it every day and stick to that. Once you do that for a month or two, no one needs to tell you anything, because you'll experience the results for yourself.
I appreciate the reminder, actually, Bhante G. I need the reminder. I've been doing it every day, but I could be doing more. So thanks.
Well, eventually it becomes like breathing. It becomes automatic. Yeah.
Maybe one thing I could add is in the Mangala Sutta, the Buddha said the top of the highest blessings of life is not to keep company with fools. Maybe, review who do you have to associate in life. You might have to work with certain people, but the people you hang out with, maybe review, is that a cause of your annoyance or disturbance in life? Keeping good company.
Yep, being sucked into the matrix.
Yeah. So should we wind up this topic? Want to move on to another topic?